What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast. We talk about the latest and greatest of cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Chris Abacon.
What's going on, everybody?
What's going on? So welcome to Monday's episode. So Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask CISSP, and then Fridays everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. Because of the lineup, you'll probably get the Friday episode on the 4th of July. So happy 4th of July, everybody. But I guess I can say that till Friday's episode. So. But definitely tune in. So hit us up at the websites theothersideofthefirewall.com as well as ramcyber.io. And don't forget to pick up the book. So you can pick up the book, The Other Side of the Firewall, where I talk to 27 guests about how they broke in, right? Those movers, shakers, and glass ceiling breakers who are people of color, women, veterans, neurodivergent professionals, and career switchers. So definitely check that out. Buy it from me, and then you get a discount. So theothersideofthefirewall.com, but it'll be available everywhere on July 8th. All right, I'm done selling stuff. So without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article comes from Forbes.com, written by Davey Winder. And the title of this one is FBI Warning Issued as 2FA, Two-Factor Authentication, Bypass Attacks Surge. Get prepared. So the FBI, whenever they put a cybersecurity alert out there, it's something to pay attention to, right? Because it's something that's becoming very prevalent. And they see the need to put it out there because we're starting to see more and more of the certain types of things that the alert is out there for happening, right? And so for this one, for the two-factor authentication, I don't want to say hacking, but getting around it, right? So the group that they're saying is doing this is called Scattered Spider, right? Scattered Spider is one of the newer groups out there. And I say newer as in like 3 years old, they believe they were founded, right? I want to say it's 2022 when I looked into it. And they're believed to be young adults and teens, like from the US and UK. And that's not definitive by any means, right? Like when it comes to cybersecurity hacking groups, I mean, they could be anywhere, right? That's the day and age we live in. But they're suspected to be US and UK young adults and teens, right? They've had some arrests from their groups. They believe they've gotten the leader, but you know how it is, like Hydra, right? You cut off the head of the snake, 2 more pop up type thing, right? So there'll be a new leader. Somebody will step into leader, right? Somebody will step into the shoes, right? But yeah, they're talking about being careful with what's going on out there and with two-factor authentication hacking, right? So just make sure you're paying attention to different things that may seem odd to you, right? So like if for whatever reason you got it where people are trying to reach out, it just doesn't look right? We've gone into this before about some of the things you may see, and they're talking about some of the things that they're trying to go after, right? So they're trying to go after commercial facilities and subsectors, right? I want to say in here, they also said that they were going after the transportation industry. Is that right? I think is what they said as well.
Right.
As I went through the article. Yeah. So be careful, folks. Like we know how, especially in this day and age, when it comes to transportation, how much we rely on it and how much it relies on IT when it comes to that, right? There's an app for all types of airlines. Like I imagine it's the same for trains, right? You know what I mean? Trains, planes, automobiles, right? So just be careful out there, folks. The FBI is like, hey, be careful. Two-factor authentication is being hit because it's one of those things where we say, don't just rely on username and password anymore, right? We've talked about multi-factor authentication, but even that's getting to a point where it's not as safe as it used to be, right? So then we talk about the passwordless future and things of that nature, which we've talked about in the show before, right? Recently, we've talked about in the show about heading that way. But Chris, what's your thoughts on this, man?
Yeah, my first thoughts is it's really interesting how they frame Scattered Spider's tactics, right? So specifically, they're looking at bypassing multi-factor authentication by actually getting to the help desks to add approved MFA devices to compromised accounts, right? So that means like if they've got your information, your login information, things like that, they want to they actually contact the help desk once they've got your account, which is crazy to me. Right. So it's that next level of social engineering when they're actually working with another company, the company's help desk to get through your MFA, process. Right. They're literally putting themselves in the middle. Right. But Scattered Spider has, like Shannon was saying, they've been around since May 2022. They were responsible for the casino hacks, right? Back in 2023, utilizing, again, social engineering. Right. They seem to, according to an article from Trellix, is that they have a deep understanding of Azure and really cloud platform secure, like the capabilities of a cloud platform, even by GCP or AWS, right? So any remote developed, they use probably legitimate, right, to be able to do so. They probably have their own Azure instance, things like that they're utilizing in conjunction with their social engineering to really, insert themselves into somebody's potential cloud environment, right? They're also responsible for some of the Snowflake stuff that we were going through last year as well. So really, Scatter Spider is no joke. So for them to be teens, I don't know about that. I think it's very smart individuals masquerading as teens, so that when you think of teens, you're like that likely to take them seriously, right? But when they are targeting help desks and they've got FBI on notice, I think they're pretty advanced if you ask me. But like just thinking about the industry use cases, or rather the targeted industries, aviation, right? Transportation, aviation. You think maybe a little bit more secure because they've got based on where their headquarters are. Like if you're going through like Atlanta, that's Delta. Like how secure are those locations? That said, all it takes is one of your accounts, or rather one of user accounts, to be compromised. So the first thing I'm thinking of is, oh, maybe it's just like an old account that's been deleted. Account management, right? I'm thinking, what can an organization do? It's account management, privilege access management, really looking at privilege escalation, perhaps account reviews that happen monthly, quarterly, right? It's just, that's what I'm thinking that can, help prevent this type of thing, to ensure that you get a good idea of where an organization or where your organization is compromised, at least from the account perspective. So that's kind of my first thoughts when I think MFA. Like, it's all about the account management process, and do really access control policies and procedures around that. So Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the reason that we need to get off of passwords again, situations like this, like, because this is the next step, right? Like, so passwords, super weak. SMS, better, not so great. Authentication apps, much better. And then passkeys, the best of the best that we have right now, right? So not to say that it's immutable, right? That you'll never have any issues. However, you can get rid of the middle and man in the middle by going with authentication app, because it could be used offline, and then just getting rid of the whole throwing the baby out with the bathwater and going passkey, right? Because then they would have to have your device. So we got to get off these passwords. And SMS is a okay next step, but still, like, this is proving the point that it's just not strong enough. I don't know. I kind of think that these might be teenagers and young adults, only because again, they have more time on their hands. They're a little more flexible and malleable, and I just like the catch me if you can vibe that comes off of it, right?
Right.
Where they're out here fooling the adults and what have you. But regardless, they're becoming a real problem. Like you said, the MGM was an issue. Now they're messing with transportation, and their name has just popped up a lot. And we all know what happens when your name pops up a lot, right? It's the target lands on you. You become the next Revel, or what have you.
I'm starting to think that I don't want to call it a great recruiting tool, but when they get big like this, like, I think it draws more people that have bad intentions to them. But if I'm being honest, I don't know if they're necessarily being steered away from when stuff like this happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and on top of it, it's lucrative, right? So like we constantly are in a state of layoffs, and it's hard to break in, and the bad guys just don't have those barriers to entry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of them have, aside from really good pay, they have organized structures. So they have a corporate vibe, even though they're syndicates, cabals.
And these economic conditions as well, right? So it's like, hey, you got a bunch of kids out there, not really kids, but young adults even, that are looking for jobs, doing their thing, and maybe some of them have given up on that and decided to go this route.
It's definitely becoming lucrative for them. When they caught the suspected leader of Scattered Spider, I think it was either last year or the year before, he had $27 million in crypto on him when they apprehended him. So like, it's one of those $27 million in crypto.
It's like when you watch movies about
how many Lambos.
Yeah, that's a lot of Lambos, right? When you see kingpins and drug dealers, and they start to do well, and they start to amass money, and you're like, now get out of the game. You're good. Get out of the game. They're like, nah, the money's too easy. I just have to keep going and going.
It's never enough.
Caught. So it's like it's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, 27 million is wild of non-taxed money, right? Like, they're not paying taxes on this.
And they're not even doing good things. They're not even giving out turkeys in the hood like Nino was. You know what I mean? So it's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah, so it's interesting to see, and I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but I would think by the end of this year, beginning of next year, at some point they'll get broken up or impeded by the authorities in some way, right? And then we'll have a new group, like you said, either a new leader will emerge or a new group will emerge, and then we'll have this. It's a never-ending cycle, right? Good guys chasing the bad guys. So we'll see what the future holds for them, and hopefully they stop messing with transportation. The thing I need, right? I need to be able to get out of here, take a vacation, enjoy myself. So definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. Again, Monday, Tuesday our topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursdays, Ask CSSP, and then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that cool stuff. Hit up all the websites to go by our name, The Other Side of the Firewall, .com, as well as ramcyber.io, where you can pick up the book. It releases on July 8th. It's also called The Other Side of the Firewall. Hit me up personally. I'm at RY Security Guy. That's RY Security Guy. You can find me pretty much everywhere, but LinkedIn is where I'm most active. Where can they find you, Chris?
You can find me on LinkedIn under my name, Chris Abacon. Last name spelled Abacon.
There it is. Stay safe. Stay secure.